PEP Radio Newsroom. This is the news blast for April 8th, 2025. The U.S. Department of Justice and the U.S. Department of Education have announced the formation of a joint task force to investigate the so-called pernicious effects of gender identity in school programs and activities. In other words, pro-trans educational and sports policies. In the press release, the Department of Education claims to have received a staggering number of Title IX complaints of pro-trans policies that have allegedly discriminated against cisgender female students based on sex. The Department of Education and Department of Justice formed the Title IX Special Investigation Team, or SIT, to investigate these alleged claims. Title IX is a 1972 federal civil rights law enacted that prohibits discrimination based on sex and gender in education programs or activities that receive federal funding. For years, Republicans generally opposed Title IX, with former Republican U.S. Senator Jesse Helms introducing a bill to condemn Title IX in its entirety. Since then, GOP politicians have generally tried to amend or omit certain sections of Title IX in order to circumvent funding women's programs or end protections for victims of sexual assault. In President Donald Trump's recent executive order keeping men out of women's sports, he cites trans people competing in sports teams matching their gender identity as a violation of Title IX. The Special Investigation Team's efforts could encompass a range of Title IX violations from sexual misconduct to complaints of funding misappropriation. SIT will mainly handle allegations of trans women participating in education programs and activities that do not align with the sex assigned to them at birth. According to Education Secretary Linda McMahon, SIT had directed an investigation into the California Department of Education for their alleged failure to protect women's sports. A similar investigation has already been launched against the state of Maine. According to sources, 6 agencies, including the Office of Civil Rights and Department of Education, along with the Department of Health and Human Services, has launched an investigation into Maine's Department of Education after reports indicated that a transgender student from Greeley High School in Cumberland, Maine, was competing on a girls' track and field team. After concluding the investigation, the Trump administration concluded that Maine had violated Title IX and gave the state 10 days to remedy the issue or else risk losing millions in federal funding. Maine has so far refused to comply, saying that doing so would violate the Maine Human Rights Act, a state law that prohibits discrimination based on gender identity. Advocates for trans equality issued a statement saying the Trump administration's new Title IX investigation team is an overreach of governmental power aimed at excluding trans women and girls from sports and facilities under the guise of protecting fairness. This effort, doing nothing to promote safety or inclusion, distorts the purpose of Title IX, which was meant to protect students from discrimination. That's our news blast for this hour. Up next is the weather forecast for Meadville and Conneaut Lake here on PEP Radio.